Hello and a very warm welcome back to Talking About Drums, the 6th video in this volume, and we are looking into the single paradiddle, and we are looking as to how we can use it in a groove. Now, trust me, it is difficult enough to get the single paradiddle going on your snare drum. Let me remind you, this is the single paradiddle, and the first step in taking it into a groove is the same we've done for the singles, where we take the right hand to the hi-hat. Okay, this is it. So, now I'm adding my bass drum, and as you can see, the paradiddle automatically enables you to have a groove because 2 and the 4 is on your left hand, 2 and the 4 is on the snare. There's your groove. A little bit of bass drum, let's say quarters. Well, that's already a groove. Allow me to keep that kind of speed, because if I do it like that, not even need to comment on that, do I? Okay, let's have a look at the actual technical stuff in your hands whilst your right hand is on the hi-hat. Let's start like that. Bass drum is quarters, and we play those 4 paradiddles. 14 technical introductory movements. Movement number 9, 10, 12 and 14 in succession, in a groove kind of environment. Here we go. Play 2 bars. Next. It's the end. And the A. Okay. If you play these paradiddles like that, only the first one remotely resembles an actual groove you could use. You couldn't use E and an A as a groove over a whole bar. But what you of course do is you combine them at will. What happens when you combine a single paradiddle is something you will experience when you practice the actual paradiddles. Because, say for example, you play the single paradiddle 1 E and A. You know what that was? That was 1 E and A. 1 on the 1, the second one on the 2. So you basically start to combine them. If I play the same in a groove context, okay, that is already a little bit more of a groove, but not what we are looking at, because this is almost experimental. We don't want to do that. But on a more stricter basis, you use, for example, a groove like this. Okay, so you go for the E's and for the A's. Something that requires your time. More importantly, and now we are leaning very strongly into the direction of coordination independence. If you now take the other page with the bass drum figures, where it says 12 16th note figures in your bass drum, now we're talking. So you're gonna play the paradiddle, and now we are going to play just the first one, the single paradiddle. Okay, and we're starting to add the bass drum. Let's look at the second one. And so on. Third one. I could go through the groups. Let's not waste your time. If you look at the second group, that becomes far more realistic, because when you talk about 4 or 3/16ths in your bass drum, there is a reduction in speed. You can't go for full speed, whereas you can go a little bit faster if you only have 2 or indeed 1. Single the movements out before you begin to combine them. This is very, very important. So you look at the first one, which is 1 E. Do-duk, 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 do-duk. Now combine them. Okay, so you have a movement in your bass drum and you are aware of it, and you have another movement in your hands which you know what it is. A different movement. It's a different thing. You are now separating your upper body and your lower body. Okay? Important. That makes it an independency exercise. Of course, it doesn't end there. Where it ends is when you at will play whatever you want in your bass drum whilst continuing to play this particular paradiddle. We are not going too fast, easy. And so on. So you're doing whatever you want in your bass drum whilst you continue the paradiddle movement in your hands. Now, of course, we have to top that, don't we? We're going to play that, and then we're going to start to continue our bass drum, focus on our hands, and introduce a couple of accents. Okay? The mother of this is now, to top it again, when you begin to combine your actual paradiddle in your hands with a single stroke and a double stroke. When you basically do with your hands whatever you want to do, and in your bass drum whatever you want to do. On a different note, as a drummer, you are not alone in this world. You have a bass player, you have a band, you have an orchestra. So it's not quite as do what you want. But whilst we are here, just you guys and I, we have this luxury, okay? So we just do what we want for a moment. We are combining. That's a single stroke roll with a couple of accents. Watch my hands, it's very important in this case. See, I basically combine singles. Here's a double. Here's your paradiddle. Basic paradiddle. Okay, this is actually the idea behind. Single stroke in grooves. Double stroke, a double stroke in grooves. A paradiddle in grooves. Ultimately, you're going to combine these three motions, and this is one thing we are going to look at when we do the next one. Have a good time. Go practice. Thank you. Bye.